Since the case between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard is being live streamed for the world to see, body language experts have been weighing in with their opinions on how the former couple is behaving in court, and some experts have broken down clear tells from the couple that expose the truth of what they were actually feeling. Let's get into body language tells from the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. But before we get into it, make sure to check out Beyond the Screen's Facebook page. We post our videos as well as exclusive content on there, so make sure to check it out. First up, Amber displaying contempt. Court TV spoke with body language expert Janine Driver to speak about all the small details that she noticed while watching the trial. When speaking about things that people at home might have missed, Driver said that Amber was displaying signs of contempt. Contempt is a pattern of attitudes and behavior, often towards an individual or group, but sometimes toward an ideology, which is the characteristics of disgust and anger. When talking about signs of contempt, Driver said, quote, "It's on the left side of her face right there. It's moral superiority, and it's out of place, especially for a battered woman. I work with battered women, they're not leaking contempt." The expert continued that signs of contempt were shown in other women like Casey Anthony and Jodi Arias, who the public were convinced did horrible acts and were hiding the truth. Driver continued, quote, "The bigger the audience, the more often we will see contempt, and we're seeing it every single day on Amber Heard's face, never once on Johnny Depp's face. Contempt is one of the 7 universal emotions that cannot be hidden on a person's face, so it's giving us a true window into what's happened in her mind." Next up, Johnny Depp hand movements. One body language expert noted that Depp might have been deceptive during his testimony about hurting his finger. When he was on the stand to testify about when he allegedly put his hand through a wall out of anger, Depp denied this and told a different version of events, claiming his finger was hurt after Heard threw a bottle at him. However, the body language expert notes that the large pauses he had while telling the story is concerning and might signify that he is trying to piece together a story rather than the truth. Although it's normal to be careful with words during a trial, the expert noted deceptive behavior and a quote, condescending smirk, face touching, and grooming by running his hand through his hair. He also frequently blocked his mouth. This all contributed to him being a quote, charming storyteller. He also injected emotion into his retelling of events to connect to his audience even more. The expert believes that Depp 100% punched a wall, but that he told the truth when he didn't sustain his finger injury at the time. Johnny smiling in court. During the trial, we have seen Johnny smile or smirk during intense or uncomfortable moments. Expert Janine Driver explained how this can be tied back to the childhood abuse Johnny faced when he was younger, something Johnny testified about during the trial. When speaking about the science behind it, Driver said, quote, "When people feel weak or vulnerable or emasculated, they'll often smile in those moments," adding, quote, "It's a way to not let us see how much suffering they're in. It becomes a defense mechanism that people will use throughout their life. I'm sure Johnny Depp has been doing this for years. This smile right here is saying I'm uncomfortable." Amber touches her face. While Amber was listening to an audio recording in court, the body language expert observed that Amber touched her face a lot. The expert told viewers that when anyone's levels of stress and anxiety are increased, one of the ways our body deals with it is by touching our face. Continuing, quote, "It's like recharging your cell phone. It does a cognitive reset, and it does an emotional reset." Amber specifically touched her face on her forehead, which is significant to the body language expert. Touching the forehead is an indicator of shame, and since the audio recording was making Amber look bad, it makes sense she would feel shame. Even though Amber touched her face quite a bit, the expert noted that Amber never showed any quote, microaggressions of sadness throughout her eyebrows or corners of her lip, as one would expect in a trial like this. When the expert was asked about the audio recordings, Driver said the recordings should be thrown out of court, adding, quote, "Of course she's going to be whistling Dixie saying good things in these audio recordings, most of them. Who knows, she could be acting. This does not prove she is a battered woman, like the article said in the Washington Post." Amber Heard looks turtled. YouTube channel The Behavioral Arts did an entire video on some of the body language that's been displayed during the trial. When specifically talking about Amber, they claim that Amber looked, quote, turtled during the trial, like she was trying to draw less attention to herself and look smaller. The expert explains that this is a defense mechanism when people feel insecure. She also showcases stress in key areas of her chin and forehead. They also noticed that Amber was giving, quote, non-answer statements when testifying. When watching a portion of the trial, the host notes that Amber has shifty eyes when someone is talking to her. One reason for this could be a condescending lack of interest, with it signaling that the person who is speaking to her is not important enough. Heard has defensive body language. During the trial, the body language expert noticed that Heard seemed very aggressive, which is interesting because it's not normally an emotion that would be seen in a domestic harm case. At one point, Heard started to aggressively scratch her shoulders so fast that she almost knocked off her microphone. When Heard's lawyers objected to some questions, Heard started looking down, showing that she was thinking of what to say next. Heard then danced around Depp's questioning, using a technique called speech disfluency. She stumbled over her words and also used fluff words like to stall time, and to think about what to say next. The expert also noted that when answering some questions, it seemed like she had rehearsed what to say. Since she's an actress, that makes a lot of sense. The expert noted she looked like she had, quote, forgotten her lines. Heard forgot key details while testifying. When Heard was describing some of the altercation she had with Johnny, the body language expert noted that Heard seemed to forget a lot of key details, including which parts of her body were specifically hurt when the bottle was allegedly thrown at her by Johnny. Heard was also fluttering her eyes, another deflection technique. The expert also emphasized that Heard minimizes some of her previously mentioned altercations to put further stress on others, trying to manipulate how things are being interpreted by listeners. So that's all for the list, but before I go, I'm going to shout out some comments from top 10 celebrities that filed for divorce in 2022. Celeb Village said, "Seems like divorce is a pastime of Hollywood. Sad when love doesn't last." It really does feel like, I guess because celebrities in Hollywood have seemingly much more options than the regular person, so it might be harder for them to stay monogamous. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I'm saying that's most likely why it happens when there's so much interest in them. I mean, even if they're slightly unhappy with their partner, maybe they're like, oh well, I'll give another partner a try. And Devin said, "Tish and Billy Ray Cyrus were my favorite couple growing up. I'm devastated that they're divorcing after spending nearly 30 years together. But if they want to go their separate ways, I respect that. It's for the best." Fun fact, Noah Cyrus and I are only 9 months apart in age. Yeah, it's really sad because they've been together for so long, they raised so many successful children, Miley, Noah Cyrus, like, it's kind of funny how they split up so many times and then got back together, so they've never actually divorced. I mean, it kind of seems like this would be the final straw because they're both saying in a statement that they're divorcing. Still sad. Then KF79 Perez said, "The leading cause of a divorce is marriage." Thought that was funny. I guess if no one gets married, no one can get divorced, right? Then MLG Gamer said, "Miley really does look like her mother. It's sad that they didn't last. It's kind of sad that quite a few couples just fell out of love or just had an issue. The amount of divorces in Hollywood is too many to count." I think we should do a list on celebrity couples that are still together that never got divorced. Is there like any of them? I swear every single celebrity couple gets divorced at some point. Then Amanda said, "Tom and Tom should have gotten married, IMO." I think that might be the next frontier, Tom Schwartz and Tom Sandoval getting married, because they're just so in love with each other. I don't even know how they could have other women in their lives because they are literally like their perfect partner. It's so weird. Alright guys, that is all for the list today. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith, and we'll catch you in the next one.